You just won $1 billion, what are you still not buying? TikToker merchandise. Any MLM product. Snapchat Plus. Goob. That I have just won $1 billion. Salt Bae's BS. Raid Shadow Legends. Heroin. One of those dumbass ape NFTs. Meth. New husband. Reddit awards. $1,000 steaks covered in gold leaf. Expensive foods with edible gold. Expensive designer brand clothes. I'd pay extra for good quality materials and features, but never just for a label. What is something you wish the opposite sex understood better? We don't always control our dicks. Just because I have an erection doesn't always mean I'm thinking of sex or want to fuck. And opposite, if I lose my erection during whatever games we are playing doesn't always mean that I suddenly find you repulsive or no longer want you. And a bonus inside tip, if a man does lose his erection for whatever reason, don't make it a point to say anything about it. Just act like it's all part of the plan and usually it can work out. You start asking if anything is wrong, now it's a problem. Start saying things about being shy or anything like that, now it's a problem. Just roll with it and enjoy what happens. That I can't hear you when you start talking to me from the other side of the house. A good chunk of the men who need reassurance are most likely not getting enough compliments in the relationship. This isn't always the case, but I always felt insane dating certain people, and then with the right person who complimented me, is genuinely attracted to me and initiated things, and who actually loves me, I now think others weren't that attracted to me, even ex-fiancé, and I have never felt more confident and safe in a relationship. Looking back, my intuition was correct with the other people I dated and that's why I never felt secure. When I say just like that I don't mean speed up to 100 miles per hour. If you wanted fries you should have asked for fries. Fingering doesn't mean you need to jam your fingers in us. Be gentle FFS, that shit hurts and cut your nails. I'm not thinking about anything. No, I'm not cheating, I'm playing games with the lads. Wish both sexes better understood biased selections. Fuck boys, fuck girls, arrogant egotistical people and deplorable twats will be overrepresented in the pool of people you encounter in a dating setting. Normal people form relationships, and get tired of all the BS, all of which makes them underrepresented. If you're cuddling and the man gets a boner, that doesn't always mean he wants sex. For both sexes, we are flawed people and we are not perfect. Stop expecting everything to be perfect 100% of the time. I'm far from perfect, but I strive to make myself better. I'm married guy. I know you turn on at feeling my morning wood, but I need to pee. Cold fusion, if someone knew more about it, we would all benefit. That OP doesn't play hockey. Maybe this will get featured on those Reddit videos with interesting Minecraft background video. Edit, wow, didn't expect to get so many likes, thank you all. Just because you keep telling me it's okay to have emotions doesn't mean I'm going to burst into tears. I have emotions, they're just quiet and don't bother people. I'm not emotionally distant or unfeeling. I'm just not going to burst into tears because the dog died in Marley and Me. I'll cry when my dog dies in My Dog and Me. Why don't you talk to that family member anymore? Stole our grandpa's identity, his dad, and ruined him financially. Then when his brother died, tried stealing money from his sister, my mom, and conning his way into things that didn't belong to him. When my mom passed, he asked for her SSN, told me it was for an old insurance policy their brother, referenced above, worth like $400. I told him I wanted more info, looked into it and it was $76K that he was trying to claim entirely for himself instead of me and my sibling getting my mom's share. Fuck that guy. Edit, it's my uncle. His dad didn't want him to go to prison so nothing came of the identity theft. Abusive alcoholic / forged documents using my mom's identification. Because that family member stole my money and blamed it on me. LOL. Accused me of stealing all our dad's money when he died. There was a will and we all got the same amount. I pointed this out and she blocked me. When at my sister's funeral they told me I had no reason to cry because I wasn't really family because I was adopted. I was adopted within my own family. We were still biologically related. Tried to steal my grandmother's money after she died. When the ex-husband got released from jail for spousal abuse and restraining order violations, she gave him my new home address. Edit. This has gotten far more response than expected. If it hits home to you, there's a great sub at r/estranged adult kids. My sister. She stole approximately $30,000 from my dad and $10,000 from my mom. She got credit cards in my dad's name, too. He eventually had to file bankruptcy. The money she stole from my mom was all her savings that she desperately needed when she was leading an abusive relationship. My parents were far from good parents, but they didn't deserve to have their financial life completely destroyed. I wish those were her only crimes. She was evil from as long as I can remember. She emotionally abused me and put me down for as long as I can remember. I was a sensitive kid, so I sadly believed everything she said. She tried to steal my friends and boyfriends. She ruined my clothes. She put me in unsafe and mature situations that took years of therapy to heal from. Her theft, manipulation, selfishness, and narcissism took so much away from me. There was no money for a first car, college, etc. After she took what she wanted, my dad was a shell of a person, so he couldn't process how hard her actions had been on me, too. I lost all my protectors. I was alone. There's so much more I could share. I sometimes can't believe I experienced what I did because it's so bleak. I stopped all communication with her about 10 years ago and my life has positively changed as a result. I know she still tries to get friends and family to not like me because I've heard stories. I don't care what she does and I don't care what anyone thinks. I know the truth and the trauma and I'm just happy to be free of her. My wife's mum. Among other things, she attempted to burn down my house, whilst her daughter and grandson were inside. She's a piece of shit who's going to die bitter and alone, and that's just fine by all of her kids. My aunt's husband abused me. I told her. She stayed with him. My sister. She's been a sporadically recovering drug addict for like 15 years. The last straw was when she stole our checkbook out of my wife's purse. At our father's wake. Because he was hitting on the nurse in the room where my mother was being compassionately extubated. Oh yeah, he's my dad. Last time I saw my dad in person was 1998. He never wanted kids, and when my little sister was born, forced my mother to give her up for adoption. My mother went into a spiral of depression after that, and took her own life when I was still a teen. I found her body, had to deal with the cops and all that, and when my dad came home days later, he threw me out. You don't have your mother to protect you anymore, he said. I had to graduate high school homeless, crashing on friends' couches and guest rooms. My college dreams were crushed because I had to get a job to support myself, which was hard until I became a manager of a bookstore at age 18. That was 1987. Since then, I saw him only a handful of times. I got married, had a child. My wife, in her vain attempt to have some kind of family, tried inviting my dad and his new wife to be part of ours, since they only lived 20 minutes away. But he only made it over a handful of times. My son saw his relatives, distant cousins, in another country more than he saw his own grandfather. My father is very rich, and I was very poor, but my dad never offered to help. Because of this, we struggled for over a decade before we got out of poverty. He never spoke to us unless my wife made contact. Last time I saw my dad, he invited me out for my birthday in 1998, but it turns out he just wanted professional advice from my wife. She was an insurance adjuster. She was pretty insulted when she figured this out, and after that, she gave up on trying to have any kind of relationship with them. In 2000, they moved away, and said they had no fixed address, and planned to travel the world. I suspect that was a ruse, because I have since discovered they bought a multi-million-dollar beachfront condo that same year. While my dad has been pretty good at hiding his address, his wife has not. She's one of those socialite wannabes, and while she's not really a bad person, she's not exactly complicated by the realities of a common man, if that makes sense. Imagine being born rich, under your father's shadow, and never really having to have an actual job. Then, because of my work background check needs, I had to find out about their life and the money they made, because of the whole possible foreign money influence thing. I know that they are worth several million, have a lot of real estate, classic cars, and a 57 pleasure yacht with a staff. The US government considers them safe, so I guess that's good. In 2014, my wife of 25 years died, and that was the last time I spoke to them. I figured the mother to your only grandchild has died was a good enough reason to speak to them, and I sent them a certified letter. I got back a generic email from the wife, which can be summed up as, "So sorry, it happens, but don't worry, you'll find someone else. Your father did." Which may come off as callous, but I think that's really how she sees things, and thought she was being mature and professional. No offers to help or "here's my number, call me if you need anything," or anything like that. Just a generic, "our condolences for a troubled time," one might get from a vendor or something. She even signed it with her full name and professional credentials. No idea if my dad even knows or cares. And that's ultimately it, he doesn't hate me. Hate is framed as the opposite of love, but really, they come from the same root. He is actually the opposite of love, indifference. He literally does not think of me or care, which is how he was about most people in his life. He sees people like appliances, you use them when you need them, otherwise you don't think about them much. I mean, do you think about your toaster until you need toast? He's like that about people. And when the toaster has problems, throw it out and get a new one. Once in a while, I have to look them up because I have to re-up clearance or something. I last know my dad was alive and present for a voting redistricting video call for his district about a year ago. I suspect when he dies, I will not be informed, but will find out months or years after the fact. Her husband pointed a loaded gun at my husband's head. My husband didn't need parents anyway. They chose a rapist over me, and now that all his crimes have come to light, they're so sorry. No thanks.